July 1 just around the corner. What's topping your list right now?
Well, you get an opportunity to have all these young kids here, and development camp is a big part of the path to the National Hockey League. And you don't have to think back too far to remember a lot of the young, bright, shiny faces that are now in the Jets lineup. That their first glimpse of our organization and our first glimpse of them was here. And you think back to those days and you try to remember what those guys were like, and now you project to where they're at now, and you try to apply the same type of things, in this regard for those guys moving forward. I really like this development camp, the setup that we have this year. We've really begun to, in this year we've really had a big focus on NHL habits and what it's going to take for every player to get to the National League. The hot button topics that we've talked about, like defensemen, go back and get the puck. Like those type of things are the things that they're really focusing on, here. Lots of position specific things, picking pucks up, walls for wingers, those type of things that, again, you hope that they can take back and work on their own during the summer.
Do you feel that there are players here that could be competing for a roster spot with the Jets this fall?
Well, we do have some first-year pros or second-year pros, I guess, coming up, and obviously you get a chance to see them, how they've worked out, for the brief period of time this summer, get an evaluation on where their fitness levels are at. And talking to the development staff there and the strength staff, they're very excited with where players like Connor, Roslovic, Lemieux, really have Noger's always been a big man, but really in shape. But where they've taken their fitness levels, and again, you have a year over year type of record of that now, so you really do see the progress. And then you see the eye test. You see that Kyle Connor's got a lot more definition and a lot more frame. You see him on the ice where he does separate himself when he goes into the corner and comes out with the puck before some guys get in there. So there are some good opportunities for some of these players. They got to have a great summer, and the competition is going to be fierce.
Kevin, you call out a bunch of names on Friday and Saturday, and it's a whirlwind for these guys because they're already here. What's impressed you about the new group to this organization?
Well, that they listened and brought their skates to the draft. That's a good one. So, there's lots of different kinds of talent there. There's some big guys that can skate, and you talk to the scouts, and in our position, you don't get a chance to see everybody in the draft. And so when you're sitting at the table, and Mark Hillier says, this guy's big and can skate, and and handle the puck, and and then you see him here, and you see there's a certain rawness to the young players at 18 years old, and that's to be expected. And for some of these guys, they're going to college or going back to Europe. They're 3-4 years away from being pro considerations, but that's what you draft them for. Going in what their development path might be. But again, this is the first stop for them. There's again a certain level of excitement when you see Vesalainen's speed and size, and when Paul and the coaches are doing their evaluations after, and they start mentioning some of these guys' names that they've seen for the first time, then you know that you think you're on the right path.
What's the plan for Vesalainen?
Again, I believe he's got a pro contract back in Europe, and those aspects of things will start to get worked out, once we do get through the craziness of free agency.
He could be at training camp though in the fall.
If he's the timing probably doesn't work for that if he's going to play in Europe.
For you as an organization, are you focusing in on areas that you would like to try to address?
Well, it hasn't changed much since the previous conversations that we've had about it. We're going to look at the areas that we can improve. It's been a busy week, like the week from the time the 217th player is called at the draft. You shift your mindset right into this week, and it's been a busy week. We've had several different conversations with players and agents, on conference calls with our staff involved, and again, it's a busy time. It's a busy time for everybody, but like you said, July 1 will be the gun will sound, and we'll be off to the races.
Has it been a busier year in terms of contacting players than it has been in years past?
I guess when you're living in the moment, every year seems very busy for what you're doing right now. This year has been a real different year, just with the weeks leading up to the expansion draft, having Vegas in the mix with respect to what they did draft and how it's affected other teams. So it has been a different year just because every year is different, but it is a very busy time.
So would you say you've been making more phone calls, contacting more potential Jets?
Again, we've done our due diligence in the past in the same fashion. We've had conference calls. You have those type of situations in years past as well. It's just what fits, and it has to fit for both sides. We can have desire and they can have desire, but there's money, there's term, there's opportunities that need to fit for both sides.
There's a lot of rumors heading into this.
No.
What
Rumors?
What kind of stock should the fans be putting in that at this stage?
I think my answer pretty much sums that up.
How has the courting period changed free agency, Kevin? And having had it now third year or whatever, is it allowed you to be able to give your pitch to more players, or?
It's an interesting dynamic. I think in its infancy, everyone thought it's a great idea, and I think in some cases, I think it probably is, where you get a chance to talk to the person, in some cases more than one time or whatever, and they can see where you pencil them in and where where they fit and whether it's a match. So I guess it's good in those regards. The hard part is until July 1, it's all talk. Once the like I say the shotgun starts, then you hit to the brass tacks, and you don't know at that point in time what's really been talk and what's really been real.
What would be a good fit for a goalie? And obviously goalie is a priority. What would be a good fit in terms of coming in here?